Hello and welcome to Tête à Tête, France 24's flagship interview show. Our guest today is Jan Egeland. He is the Secretary General of the Norwegian Refugee Council. He's a former senior United Nations official in charge of humanitarian affairs, and he joins us from Oslo. Thank you very much, Mr. Egeland.
Thank you for having me.
You're a veteran of humanitarian affairs. You've been to some of the worst places on earth. How does Gaza rank among them?
Well, it's among the worst places in humanitarian history for the simple reason that I haven't been to a place that has been with such a crammed population, so trapped under such a bombardment for such a long time. There is no escape for the Palestinians in Gaza. They don't have Poland or Lebanon or any other place to go to. They are trapped. Israel doesn't open the border. Egypt doesn't open the border. And the bombardment has been relentless since October.
Right. You've been in February to the town of Rafah, the southern tip of the Gaza Strip. This is where most of the focus is. How would you describe life in Rafah for the Palestinians today?
Rafah is overcrowded beyond belief. It's a small town, a sleepy town of 230,000 people, some agriculture there, a bordering Egypt. There's a crossing there to Egypt. And then more than a million people fled there from northern Gaza. Most people in Gaza live in the north, Gaza City, in Jabalia, and then also in the central area, including Khan Yunis. All of these people have been crammed together in Rafah. Rafah is probably 1/10 of the municipality of Oslo, where I live, and there is 1.3, 1.4 million people there, and they are now engulfed in fear and desperation beyond belief.
Right. How daunting is the humanitarian challenge for UN agencies or NGOs like yours to operate in Rafah and more broadly in the Gaza Strip?
It's enormously difficult. I have 50 colleagues there now. Most of them are Palestinians who have fled with their families, also they from the north, come together in a couple of the buildings that we were able to rent in Rafah. We also have nearly 10 international colleagues sent there as experts and as leaders for a relief effort. We've been able to have a couple of hundred trucks loads of relief in. That has led to a relatively large operation in the Rafah area. We have not succeeded in getting enough supplies north. So I would say it's terrible in Rafah. I mean, malnourishment, epidemic disease, water, sanitation, really bad. The schools have 3, 4, 5,000 refugees, 50 people per classroom and so on. But in the devastated north, it is even worse because there has been even less aid going there.
Right. There is even talk by top UN officials of a famine unfolding in the north of the Gaza Strip. Do you confirm this from your observations?
Yeah, that is consistent also with what our colleagues that still are in the north are telling us. But that the World Food Programme is correct in saying that the famine has engulfed the 300,000 or so people that remain in the rubble in the north. And that is why, and that is because Israel has not opened the border crossings in the north, except now a trickle through Erez. They could have opened the border crossings from the beginning, It's not just a bombardment that has been indiscriminate and in violation of international law since Hamas's despicable and horrendous acts of mass violence in Israel on the 7th of October. The bombardment has been indiscriminate since then, but also the lack of access for humanitarian aid is in violation of international law.
There was an Israeli strike on a convoy of the NGO World Central Kitchen in which 7 of their humanitarian workers were killed. Israel said it was a mistake. The head of this NGO accused Israel of doing this on purpose. Do you believe that there is a pattern of Israel going after humanitarian aid groups or workers, or do you believe Israel when they said this was a tragic mistake?
I believe it's been indiscriminate. I believe they are neither doing the distinction nor the precaution nor the assessment of proportionality that they are obligated to do under international law. So, of course, our colleagues from the World Central Kitchen, I don't think Israel wanted to kill people from that wonderful international institution. Yes, I think that was a mistake. But I know they didn't do the precaution needed. And the well over 200 Palestinian aid workers killed is a testament to Israel having committed a lot of violations of international law. A world record in dead aid workers, world record in dead doctors, in nurses, teachers, women and children in such a small period over such a few months. It's unheard of.
Are Western countries to blame for the way they've reacted to what you're describing?
Well, I think Western allies of Israel bear some of the blame, yes. I think there are many things to question here. How come they continue to provide the tools for such an indiscriminate military campaign? United States now giving vast new arsenals with 20,000 pound bombs, indiscriminate bombs to an indiscriminate campaign. Germany, UK, I think France has also given military aid. They have their fingerprints over, in many ways, a crime scene. And then they've been incapable of restraining their ally. And on top of that, the continued aid to a party to a conflict that is undeniably violating international law. They do freeze assistance to UNRWA, the UN organization, where there is mere allegations of wrongdoing for some of their a handful of their colleagues that may have done something wrong, and they cut aid immediately. I mean, this is hypocrisy on an industrial scale.
I want to ask you quickly about southern Lebanon. You went there recently. Obviously, the situation is not as dire as it is in Gaza, but on both sides of the border in northern Israel, where many people have been forced to flee because of incoming artillery and so on. But in southern Lebanon, are you concerned? Because it's a country that's already carrying a heavy burden when it comes to displaced people or refugees.
I'm very concerned. To me, traveling in southern Lebanon was like being a witness to a countdown to catastrophe, really. There is more and more exchanges of missiles and rockets over the border because Israel has a military superiority and they are attacking more and more villages from where there has been missiles going out. More than 90,000 civilians have fled. And this is in a population that houses 1.5 million Syrians and more than 600,000 Palestinian refugees. So all of these suffer, and Lebanon is at boiling point. We need a ceasefire both for Lebanon as we need it for Israel-Gaza.
I mean, is this a country on the verge of collapse that you visited?
I think it is, yes. I mean, the deep economic crisis seems to have stabilized somehow, but now having economic life paralyzed in the south, no agricultural production there, more internally displaced people, and a cut in aid. So Europe, North America, Gulf countries have cut aid to Lebanon, which means that the 2 million Syrian and Palestinian refugees are getting reduced rations, reduced aid in a situation with intense economic hardships across Lebanon.
Jan Egeland, that's all we have time for. I want to thank you very much for appearing here on France 24 from Oslo in Norway. And thank you for watching this edition of Tête à Tête here on France 24.